Jim.
Jim is doing passively.
What?
Doing passively.
Thank you, Scott. Good morning and welcome to those of you here and to our worldwide online community, to Unity Spiritual Center, Spokane, where we are all about our mission, together everyone, transforming lives and inspiring people to make a positive difference in our world. My name is Jeff Hunter and I will be your platform assistant this morning. And if everyone could please take a moment and silence your cell phones, we would appreciate it. As always, we want to begin our time together by sharing our opening affirmation. Together, there is only one presence and one power active in my life and in the universe, God the Good. This is Unity's foundation principle. One presence, one power, active in my life and in the universe, God the Good. This morning, our transformational speaker, Jeff Tawney, will give us a special post-Easter message, Living a Fearless Life. And our music today is provided by Julie Croteau, pianist Rita Huber, and of course, the inimitable Scott. Don't let it go to his head. Come on, don't let it go to his head. All right, now, would you all please stand as Al Koenigsfeld comes to lead us in our community song, followed by Chaplain Steve Bortfeldt and our reading and opening prayer.
All right, Scott, we take this just a little bit slow. The words are a little tough. Should be in the rhythm. Oh, that's good. Everybody's talking in a family of love. Everybody has a place to see. Bring your meat and bring your gift. Bring your go after them. Celebrate the truth that sets us free. Everybody's talking in a family of love. Everybody has a life to share. Let your heart be filled with song, sing and dance the whole day long. Send the invitation everywhere. Everybody's welcome. Yes, everybody's welcome. Welcome in a family of love. That's it, Scott. Just walk with me.
Good morning. This is a little longer than normal on this reading, but it's crucial to Jeff's and leads into Jeff's talk. It's entitled "The Uprising Begins," and it's from "We Make the Road" by Brian McLaren. Let's imagine ourselves with the disciples on that first Easter Sunday. Here's what we heard. At dawn, before the sun had risen, some women who were part of our movement went to the tomb to properly wash Jesus' corpse and prepare it for burial. When they arrived, they had a vision involving angels. One of the women claimed that Jesus appeared to her. The rest of us think it was just the gardener. The gardener. What a place to be buried. A grave in a garden, a bed of death and a bed of life. The women came and told the disciples. Peter went running back and found the tomb empty. Empty. And the burial clothes were still there, folded neatly. Who would take a naked corpse and leave the bloody clothes that it was wrapped in? Peter wondered what was going on, but he didn't have any clear theory. We all speculated, but none of us knew what to think. We decided to go back on home. That's where we are now, walking on the road back home. It's about a 7-mile walk to our little house in Emmaus. It takes a couple of hours, Along the way, we've been talking all about this, trying to come up with some kind of interpretation of the events that have transpired. Now we notice that other fellow walking towards us, a stranger. We lower our voices. He comes a little closer. "What are you folks talking about?" he asks. One of us replies, "Are you kidding? Are you the only person in the whole region who doesn't know all that's been happening around Jerusalem recently?" "Like what?" he asks. We tell him about Jesus, that he was clearly a prophet who said and did amazing things. We tell him how the religious and political leaders came together to arrest him. We go into some detail about the crucifixion on Friday. "We had hoped," one of us says and pauses. "We had hoped that this Jesus was the one who was going to turn things around for Israel, that he would set us free from the Roman occupation." We walk on a few steps and he adds, "And this morning was the third day since the death. And some women from our group told us that they had a vision of angels who said he was alive." It's pretty clear from the tone of his voice that none of us take the report of the women very seriously. That's when the stranger interrupts. "You just don't get it, do you?" He says, "This is exactly what the prophets said would happen. They have been telling us all along that the liberator would come to suffer and die like this before entering glory." As we continue walking, he starts explaining things to us from scriptures. He begins with Moses, and step by step, he shows us the pattern of God's work in history, culminating in what happened in Jerusalem in recent days. God calls someone to proclaim God's will, resistance and rejection follow, often culminating in expulsion or murder to silence the speaker. But this isn't a sign of defeat. This is the only way God's most important messages are ever heard, through someone on the verge of being rejected. God's word doesn't come in dominating, crushing force. It comes in vulnerability, in weakness, in gentleness, just as we have seen over this last week. At this point, we realize we have reached home already. And as we slow down, the stranger keeps walking. We plead with him to stay with us, since it's getting late, and we know it will soon be dark. So he comes in. We sit down at our little table for a meal. He reaches to the center of the table and takes a loaf of bread and gives thanks for it. He breaks it, hands it, a piece of it to each one of us, and it hits us at the same instant. This isn't a stranger. It couldn't be. Yes, this is Jesus. We each look down at the fragment of bread in our hands, and when we look back up to the stranger, he's gone. We start talking, one interrupting the other. When he spoke about Moses and the prophets, did you feel inspired? Yes, it felt like my heart was glowing, hotter and hotter, until it was ready to ignite. Did this really happen, or was it just a vision? Just a vision. Maybe a vision means seeing into what's real than anything else. But it wasn't just me, right? You saw him too, right? You felt it too, right? What do we do now? Shouldn't we tell the others? Yes, let's do it. Let's go back to Jerusalem even though it's late. I could never sleep after experiencing this. So we pack up our gear and rush back to the city, excited and breathless. On our earlier journey, we were filled with one kind of perplexity: disappointment, confusion, sadness. Now we feel another kind of perplexity: wonder, awe, amazement, almost too good to be trueness. Do you realize what this means? One of us asks, and then answers his own question. Jesus was right after all. Everything he stood for has been vindicated. Yes, and something else. We never have to fear death again. And if that's true, another answers, we never need to fear Caesar and his forces again either. Their only real weapon is fear. And if we lose fear, what power do they have left? Ha! Death has lost its sting. That means we can stand tall and speak the truth, just like Jesus did. We never need to fear anyone again. This changes everything. It's not just that Jesus was resurrected. It feels like we have arisen too. We were in a tomb of defeat and despair, but now look at us. We are truly alive again. We walk as fast as we talk as fast as we walk. We recall Jesus' words from Thursday night about his body and blood. We remember what happened on Friday when his body and his blood were separated from one another on the cross. That's what crucifixion is, we realize. The slow, excruciating, public separation of body and blood. So we wonder, could it be that in the holy meal, when we remember Jesus, we are making space for his body and blood to be reunited and reconstituted in us? Could our remembering him actually remember and resurrect him in our hearts, in our bodies, our lives? Could this body and blood be reunited in us so that we can become his new embodiment? Is that why we saw him and then didn't see him? Because the place he wants most to be seen is in our bodies, among us and in us. It's dark when we reach Jerusalem. Between the day's sunrise and today's sunset, our world has been changed forever. Everything is new. From now on, whenever we break the bread and drink the wine, we will know that we are not alone. The risen Christ is with us, among us, within us, just as he was today, even though we didn't recognize him. Resurrection has begun. We are part of something rare, something precious, something utterly revolutionary. It's like an uprising of hope, not hate, an uprising armed with love, not weapons, an uprising that shouts a joyful promise of life and peace, not angry threats of hostility and death. It's an uprising of outstretched hands, not clenched fists. It's the someday we have always dreamed of, emerging in the present, rising up among us and within us. It's so different from what we expected, so much better. This is what it means to be alive, truly alive. This is what it means to be en route, walking the road to a new and better day. Let us tell the others, the Lord has risen. He is risen indeed. The Lord is risen. He is risen indeed. The Lord is risen. He has risen indeed. Let us close our eyes and feel the divine presence, that Christ consciousness within us and among us, and know that he has risen indeed. And so it is.
This is a song about believing. I believe in the sun. I believe in the sun, even when it's not shining. I believe in the sun. I believe in the sun, even when it's not shining. I believe in love. I believe in love, even when I don't feel it. I believe in love. I believe in love, even when I don't feel it. I believe in love. I believe in love, even when I don't feel it. I believe in love. I believe in love, even when I don't feel it. I believe in God. I believe in God, even when God seems silent.
Thank you, Julie and Rita. It was beautiful. Thank you, Steve, for your words, for your reading. Before I get started, I want to share with you some things that happened since my last talk. We've gone 4 weeks now. We keep mentioning it, but I shared a story in the board meeting that was the easiest thing for me to relate to of what has happened. So many years ago, I broke my face playing hockey, and in the course of that broken face, I broke my nose and had like 30% blockage on one side and 60% blockage on the other. So I had to have nasal surgery to fix a deviated septum, and it was a long process. But the day they took the packing out of my nose, it was an awakening. The best way to describe it. If you've ever had your sinuses blocked, and in an instant, your sinuses become unblocked, it's overwhelming. It's actually, the air is coming through your nasal passages so much that it almost hurts. It's overwhelming. And I'll never forget that. And then I thought about the talk and what happened after. I was exhausted when I went home because of all the emotion for me, and really the unpacking of what happened. And after that, I started seeing things differently. And it was almost as if a weight had been lifted, scales had been removed, and all of a sudden I'm seeing things at another level. I don't know how else to describe it. Language changes, the way you see things, interpretations change, everything changed. A couple weeks ago in our conscious conversations, we talked about the temple clearing. And remember in the week before, Bonnie had talked about the story where Jesus goes into the temple and he upholds it. He gets mad and he throws the tables and he basically clears the temple of all the stuff that came into the temple that wasn't supposed to be there. And in our conscious conversations, we talked about the stuff that gets into our temple, that distracts us, that gets in the way, that pollutes what is supposed to be holy. Television, media that we watch, maybe music that we listen to, all the different things that come into this holy place that prevent us from seeing and being who we are to be. And some of the technology, you could say that some of the technology has been good, especially since COVID, because it's allowed us to connect in times when we were being told that we had to separate. So there's that balance of trying to find that balance of like what's good and what's not. What's healthy for me and what's not healthy for me, right? When we talk about living, and the play on the words that I have on living a fearless life, when I hear living fearlessly, I think of, as it's defined, it talks about being bold and courageous and stepping into things, and I'm gonna be the best I can be. Okay, well, that's good in a commercial and it's good in a TV show, but let's face it, if we're talking about our everyday lives, it's difficult. It's difficult. So I shared one of my talks in the past. I talked about the pencil and shaving that pencil, and in this analogy of the fear that we have and shaving the fear and becoming fearless, sugarless. It's about removing little things that get in the way and that prevent us from being who we are and being our full potential. And I have to, as much as I want to talk from my heart, and I've written everything from my heart down, I have so much going on from this talk that we could be here all day. And I don't want to do that to you because a lot of what was said and conveyed was in the story. So I'm going to stick to my notes. So I apologize if I'm really focused here, but it's because I really want to stay on track. This has really opened up a lot of things for me. The Easter story doesn't just end with Jesus' death and resurrection. There were several very significant events that happened in the days following that sparked questions. Like, how did the resurrected Jesus support his disciples in the time of loss and bewilderment? Why did Jesus appear to the women first? What lessons can we learn about recovering after being stopped dead in our tracks? While the answers may be different for each one of us, I believe there is a great opportunity to explore and provoke the internal responses of our own transformations. So let's talk about the big one. Why did Jesus appear to the women first? Mary, Martha, and Mary, mother of Jesus, Mary Magdalene, and Martha, all feminine, represent the soul. They represent affectional and emotional phase of man's being. Jesus reveals himself to Mary Magdalene first, and she goes to tell the disciples the good news. Thus, the soul ever remains with the object of its devotion. When one's love is established in truth, the soul stays closest to the divine. When everything to be lost, the purified soul is constant and true. When the resurrection light breaks the consciousness, and this is metaphysically speaking, right? When you start looking at the Bible from a metaphysical standpoint, I'm not telling a lot of you something different, but holy moly, it is overwhelming. When the resurrection light breaks the consciousness, the soul perceives the light first and conveys the joy-filled emotions to the move outward phases of the man's being. Now, if the first thing, if you're hearing from a feminine side or from a female side is man, and the ear and the hair on the back of your neck goes up, pause, take a step back, breathe. Because we're not talking about man in which you have come to understand man or where your fears lie. The whole reason for Jesus, the perfect man, was a balance of masculinity and femininity. And that whole subject is a whole different talk. But understand this, that most of us have been hurt by either over-masculated men or over-feminized women. There is a balance. I have come to believe that Jesus was rewarding the women and the feminine energy for their devotion and the connection to the soul. The men were focused on the outcome. They had lost their way. Now, if we can imagine that all those days leading up, they're expecting something different. They're expecting, I saw this screensaver on a friend of mine's computer, of Jesus on a white horse with big muscles and a sword, and he's coming in to kick butt. And that's who they were expecting, was that Jesus. So imagine their dismay when he's crucified on the cross, and then he's buried, and their whole hope and dream is gone. Devastated. Stopped in their tracks. What do? They were paralyzed by their fear. And when we're paralyzed by our fear, we can't see anything but our own stuff, our own situation. We lose sight of our soul. We think of our own intellect, our emotions, our pride, our ego. We need others to help us out of that. We need to be led by another, someone who has experienced it before and can help. Their faith, the faith of the men, was relied upon the material or the intellect, what they knew. Jesus got the power to raise the dead. He's got the power to overthrow Caesar. When faith is rooted in the spiritual of the Christ, when spiritual is rooted in the Christ mindset, it is solid as a rock. Second question, how did the resurrected Jesus support his disciples in their time of loss and bewilderment? Well, the first thing we learned in that message was when he approached them, he approached them to come alongside them. He didn't approach them in a confrontational manner. So what we learn is if you want to help someone, you don't come into their life and tell them what they're doing wrong. You come alongside them and you walk with them and you partner with them and you learn and you listen. I heard a pastor talking one time, and he was talking about sometimes when we don't know what to say, when we are bewildered or in our grief, and we think we're like trying to come up with the right words to say, like there's some magic thing that I can say that's going to make you feel better. Sometimes all we need is someone to sit on the edge of the bed with us. Someone just to hold that emotion and know that we're not in this by ourselves. But that's not to say that you allow that person to stay there. So as they're talking and they're going about this, Jesus was doing this, and this was going to happen, and this was going to happen, and this was going to happen, blah, 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 and they're going, and he said, stop! You don't get it. He stops their spiral. He allows them enough, but he stops their spiral. And he says, goes back and he tells them the story. He shows them the big picture. What was it all about? And he goes back to the things. He just repeats the history. He repeats what he had taught them. And it's about going back to understanding why we're here. And that's what he was doing. Hold on. I heard you. Now hold on just a second. Let's go back and talk about the big picture. Let's know the facts. And then there's this powerful moment. Do you realize what this means? One of us asks, and then answers his own question. Jesus was right after all. Everything he stood for has been vindicated. Yes, and something else. We never have to fear death again. And if that's true, another answers, we never need to fear Caesar and his forces again either. Their only weapon is fear. And if we lose our fear, what power do they have left over us? Death has lost his sting. That means that we can stand tall and speak truth, just like Jesus did. We never need to fear again. This changes everything. The awakening. All of a sudden, they get it. Because if Jesus had come and removed Caesar, they would still have the fear. There would still be someone else coming behind that would challenge them or reference them or whatever. But in this case, when you take fear out of the equation, there's no power. In the book, in the series Band of Brothers, there's a point in where one of the soldiers is paralyzed by his fear, literally crying in the bottom of his foxhole. He's completely powerless. He's completely ineffective. And those around him that are dependent on him for their life, because they're all dependent on one another, they've got a weak link in their chain. And literally one of the men goes to him and talks to him and says, look, the only way for you to be an effective soldier is to remove the fear. And the problem that you have is that you have hope. And in this situation, in what we're doing and what we're fighting against, hope is going to kill you. It's going to cause you to hesitate. And so once you get past that, you will be an effective soldier. Now that's an extreme situation, but it's true. And from that point on, and in the book, according to the particular gentleman, the soldier, he got past his fear and he became effective. He was wounded in combat and died a couple of years later. But he didn't die in the bottom of his foxhole crying and in the fear. He became effective. Jesus said, you shall know the truth, and the truth will set you free. What is the truth? The truth isn't what we think it is. The truth isn't what our fears tell us it is. The truth is something different. It's something higher. If we were playing a video game, it's the next level. I know you guys don't play video games, but their grandkids do. Now, at that next level, they are projecting forward. Their understanding and awakening is to be projected and catapulted forward. They are now moving to another level of understanding. It doesn't mean they're better than someone else. It just means now they're able to understand a new language. What lessons can we learn about recovering after being stopped dead in our tracks? First, allow people around you that will help you see the big picture. Second, the method and the way that we approach come alongside and not from a place of confrontation. Sometimes we just need someone to sit on the edge of the bed. This is fascinating. In the metaphysical realm, the crucifixion is the surrender or death of the personality. It's agonizing. You think about the crucifixion and you look at that visually, and then you think about what it takes for you to change your personality and change the way that you see things. It's bloody, it's messy, it's painful, it's excruciating. You want it to end. But if you truly want to make change in your life, if you truly want things to change, you've got to do the hard things. A person can be dead in their feelings and emotions and be resurrected in their ability for intimacy. A relationship can be dead in the loom of separation or divorce, but be resurrected to a new life. And then seeing with the Christ mindset. What does that mean? It's seeing things differently. It's seeing a new way. It's seeing the way. You project kindness when kindness isn't deserved. You project forgiveness when forgiveness isn't deserved. You project the best in someone. You turn the other cheek. Seeing with the Christ mindset is not about accepting Jesus as your Lord and Savior. It's about seeing the way. Seeing with a new mind and focus. Looking to your higher self, the wisdom and all-knowing. Thank you. We're going to go into our time of meditation, and I had so many different ways I wanted to go with this. But I'm going to ask you to close your eyes, place your feet on the floor, uncross your arms, your feet, whatever, uncross, place your feet on the floor, and feel yourself grounded. The feet represent wisdom, knowing. So feel yourself grounded. Feel your back and your body supported by the chair. It's going to hold you. You have no fear of falling. Take a deep breath. Inhale. And exhale. Take another deep breath. And exhale. These deep breaths represent the pause, the space, the allowance. Take another deep breath and exhale. And I'm going to call you into asking yourself, what do I fear? What do I fear? Do I fear that I won't be able to do the best job I can? Do I fear that my spouse or my partner isn't a safe place for me? Do I fear that my child will lose their way? Do I fear that this health issue that I'm having is going to take my life? What do I fear? And your response in those questions or in those awareness is with the Christ mindset. Projecting truth, projecting kindness, projecting love, projecting acceptance, projecting inclusion, projecting that death has lost its sting. And just know that those things that you fear, others fear them too. You're not alone. There's a stranger on your road to Emmaus who is coming alongside you. And it is good. Take a deep breath and exhale all that fear. Inhale and exhale. And so it is.
would like to sing about love. This is from an opera called Rusalka, wherein Rusalka is a water sprite or a mermaid. And of course, she falls in love with the prince that comes to the water's edge to ponder his life. So knowing they cannot be together, she prays to the goddess of the moon and begs that the moon light his path, guide him to safety, and open his eyes to the awareness that he is loved. Song to the Moon. Deep dark sky, through the vast night pierce your rays. This sleeping world you wander by, smiling on men's homes and ways. This sleeping world you wander by, smiling on men's homes and ways. Oh, moon, past your glade, tell me, oh, where does my loved one bide? My silver moon, mine are the arms that shall hold him, that between waking and sleeping he may think of the love that enfolds him. Maybe one soul should it dream of me, let by memory wakened be. Moon, moon, oh do not wane, do not wane.
Thank you, Julie. Rita, it's beautiful. Okay, we go into our time of giving. And this is just a physical act that we do. It's also a spiritual act because it's what we are willing to let go of. So those of you here and those of you out in our online world, there are several ways that you can give. You can text your dollar amount to that number up there, 215-2552, 509-215-2552. Don't follow me, watch what's up there. I'm sorry, my mind is going in a different direction right now. You can also go to unityspokane.org/donate, and you can also mail the old-fashioned way to Unity Spiritual Center, 2900 South Bernard, Spokane, Washington. And as we go into our blessing, there we go. Together we say, I know that my giving blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I give and receive. I give thanks for the abundance that is mine to share. recognize the song. Trying to get the lyrics was just not coming, but I'm going to look it up. Thanks, Scott.
Give it more notice next time.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, would you join me? Abundant Provider, we thank you for these gifts and these offerings and these declarations of our appreciation and our love for those who are serving to promote our mission of transforming lives and inspiring people to make a positive difference in the world. We thank all that have given, and we ask that you would multiply these blessings. And so it is.
I just want to take a moment to say that Steve, Julie, Rita, Scott, and Jeff, you are a real blessing to this center. You are truly a blessing to this center. I'm never tongue-tied, but you know, the more I sit in this center and the more I listen to these people and take it into my heart, I'm forever grateful for all of you. All right, I got that out of the way. All right, let's say our unity statement together. Ready? Unity stands for peace in the presence of conflict, for love in the presence of hatred, for forgiveness in the presence of injury. Unity honors the many names for God, the many paths to God, for we know there is only one power, one presence, and one life. So whoever you are, wherever you are on your journey of transformation, you are always welcome here. And I'm talking to you out in TV land too. You're always welcome here. We'd love to see you. Is there anyone here for the first time today? And if you feel comfortable raising your hand, we'd like to say hello and offer you a free beverage at our barista stand. Is there anybody here for the first time? We're all friends here. Oh, thank you. We're glad you're here. For those of you here, as well as those joining us online who are new to our ministry, we encourage you to sign up for our e-news to learn more about what's going on here, upcoming workshops, events. You can sign up on our email newsletter by scanning the QR code you see on the screen and around the center, or at our website, unityspokane.org. We'd also like to connect with you on social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Don't do TikTok. Just search. Well, that's my bias today. I get it in. I'm up here. Unity Spiritual Center Spokane. And thank you for joining us today. And we're really happy you're here. And we hope you enjoy the service. And we'll come back again and again. Our chaplains today are Marlene and Al, who have been holding the service in prayer for us today. Marlene and Al, will you please stand? Thank you. All right. Marlene will be available to pray with you immediately following the service. So if you have anything that is either heavy on your heart or that you would like to celebrate, please come see us. And thank you, chaplains, for your service today and always. We'd like to encourage anyone that is in need of prayer to fill out a prayer request form found in the seat pocket in front of you. And you can put that in one of our prayer boxes. There's one up here, there's one in the atrium. And these names will be prayed over at our center for 30 days and also sent to Silent Unity, where they will be prayed for by 30 days. So now, instead of Amber, or do we have Amber today? No. All right, come up here. We're ready for you to give us. Has anybody seen the artwork that's in the bookstore? If you haven't seen it, go see it. It's beautiful. Thank you.
This is my favorite thing to do, as you all know. Thanks, Amber, for speaking of North. So we have I'm going to go kind of quickly through the things we have coming up, because a lot of them we've announced quite a few times, but there's a few just updates, and then I wanted to do a big thank you as well. So first of all, we have Catherine's workshop coming up, Soul Growth Through Relationships. You see all the details on the screen there. It's coming up a week from today. So if you want to go to that workshop, we need you to sign up because we need some more people to sign up in order for this workshop to happen. And I know it's going to be amazing. And it's not just about like relationships or those kind of relationships. It's about all kinds of relationships. So it will be helpful, fruitful, and lovely for everyone, but encourage you to sign up. It's in all the previous e-news links. And if you need help, you can let me know after the service and I can help direct you. And then we have a Joy Shop coming up with Joan. That's the following Saturday, April 29th. Again, you can find the link in e-news as well. And it's also a great workshop. This one's from 10 to 3. And it's going to be about finding your joy, reconnecting with it. Then we have a breath and meditation course with Ryan Sawyer coming up. It's mostly online, kind of self-paced that you can take this course. And then he'll also have a weekly Zoom that you will do. So there's 7 of those total. So you'll connect in person through Zoom as well. That course is coming up. Again, you can sign up through e-news and ask me if you have any questions about that. Finally, last event to share with you, we have our monthly sound bath with Amy coming up. It's on Saturday, May 6th. Again, sign up in the same place. We'd love to see you. It's here in the sanctuary, and it's always a beautiful, meditative, calming space. I would love to have now everyone that volunteered for the landscape cleanup stand up, please. And let's give them a really amazing round of applause. If you haven't noticed, our grounds look particularly amazing. It is because of each one of those people and everyone on the landscape team for that ongoing support. If you haven't noticed, we have a big property. And it takes a lot of time and energy and love to put into that. And I also just want to recognize Steve. I can't see where he's sitting right now. Will you stand up? Because you lead them every single week, and I think that we need to honor you. I also have a little something for each of you. Don't get too excited, but it's from the heart. So if you would see me after the service, I'd love to hand that to you, and I'll mail it to anybody that's not here today. And finally, we just want to honor that Reese Hinthorn, a longtime member of our choir, has passed away recently. So if we can just have a minute of silence in honor of Reese and to send lots of love to everyone that knows him and his family.
Now we have a board report from our president, Doug.
Good morning. Well, I'll add a little bit more to the cleanup. There's been over a ton of materials hauled to the waste-to-treatment plant. And there's still more to go. So it's an ongoing project, and the grounds don't go away. They continue to ask us to work on them. So I ask anybody that wants to help us on Thursday to please come. And now, your board officers for this year include myself as president, Jeff Tawney as vice president, Murphy Sullivan as the board chaplain, and Linda Tweedy is our treasurer, and Suzanne Kraft is the board secretary. And on another note, Sandy Schilling and Hank Breckland have resigned from our board of directors. New members on the board of directors include Karen Darling, Murphy Sullivan, Linda Tweedy, and Jeff Tawney. On April 6th, the board participated in a workshop as part of Reverend Bonnie's special dispensation program. One of the outcomes is the need to revise our bylaws. Don't groan, please. We need to come in alignment with Unity Worldwide Ministries. We have also requested the facilitator for that workshop to do a 2.5-hour workshop on May 4th with all of our team leaders. And it will be a Zoom meeting. And finally, the financial summary for March shows a shortfall. I saw 8,000, I've heard 6,000, so somewhere between 6,000 and 8,000. Should this trend continue, the general fund will be depleted in approximately 8 months. There are funds in other accounts that could help, but we do not want to touch those accounts. And there are some accounts that we have that are stocks and bonds, and that's the last thing we want to do. So we're heading into the summer months, and I know that I want to go away, but I also want to make sure that this facility thrives, so I donate on a monthly basis. So please consider doing that. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. All right, our kids are here. So let's welcome them with singing Walking in the Light. We are walking in the light, in the light, in the light. We are walking in the light, in the light of God. In the light, 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 in the light of God. We are walking in the light, in the light, in the light. We are walking in the light, in the light of God. In the light, 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 in the light of God. We are walking in the light, in the light. We are
Wow.
walking in the light. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome. This is a great sight to me. I love this. As I've always said, these are the building blocks of our center, right here. So let's give the children their blessing and also the blessing to all the people who work with our youth. Together, let's say, be the love you are, sing the song you hear, share your joy of life with people far and near. And for ourselves, be the love we are, sing the song we hear, share our joy of life with people far and near. All right, kids, find the flock you came with. All right. I know you're not a bird. All right. Let's please stand, if you are able, join together for our closing prayer for protection, followed by the peace song. Together we affirm, the light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well, and that's the truth.